So I am very happy to have some great volunteers here today to talk a little bit about some of the things that go on at the Senior Community Center. And I know that some of you, Barbara in particular, has a long history with the Senior Center. And I know that Selden has been very involved in a number of different ways. And Ken has had some unique growth of new programs, things that we had never done before. So I'm looking forward to having you talk a little bit about your experiences. Barbara, why don't you talk a little bit to start us off about your some of the ways that you volunteered and participated at the Senior Community Center.
Thank you, Reed. As you said, I've had a long involvement with the Senior Center. I first got involved when Sue Barrington was in charge of the Senior Center, and we did storytelling, and that was very meaningful. And that continues to be meaningful for me because at any time you can walk into the Senior Center, this was pre-pandemic time, and find somebody to talk to. And also go to the thrift shop and find all kinds of interesting things to look at. So I have really enjoyed the Senior Center that way. The last thing I was involved in was the trip with the bus trip around Bainbridge Island with the Indipino, a member of the Indipino community. That's the Indian and Filipino community. People who were members of that community. And lots of people said they were not aware of their involvement on the island. So that was very meaningful and lots of fun.
Yeah, it was interesting, and we were hoping to do more of those kinds of trips this year. Not so much, but we have looked at other ways to celebrate the inclusion and diversity on the island, and we've had several online meetings to touch on some of those things. But I look forward to being able to get back out and see and meet people with all kinds of stories about island life.
Yes.
Selden, tell us a little about some of the things that you've been involved in, please.
Well, when I moved here many years ago, I joined the Senior Center to play cribbage, which I've done for 9 years. Then I also did the talk, which we're doing right now outside with the weather being nice, and we get to mingle with others. And a lot of the people walking by will sit down and watch us play for half an hour or an hour.
So what's petanque for those of us? What's petanque for those who might not know?
Petanque is an outdoor ball game. It's like bowls, but you're a little pig and you try to hit the balls closer to it and you get points. So we have a good time out in the field next across the street playing in the afternoon.
Most every Thursday, providing the weather cooperates.
Well, we've only been rained out twice in 2 years.
Good. And you also did some things with some young people who came to visit for a couple years there. Tell us a little bit about that.
The 8th grade class come down for 2 times, and we had different adults, and they want more adults when we do it again. And we played games, art project, bingo, and they had a good time walking down, a good time going back, and they enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think everybody enjoyed it, the kids and the adults who participated.
Correct.
And Ken, tell us a little bit about your work in the conference room with some people who are trying to speak Chinese.
Yeah, well, I've always been involved with the center's language programs, the Spanish conversation group, the German conversation group. The Chinese group kind of grew out of the German group because there was a person in the German group who had spent many years in the consulate in Shanghai. So we got to thinking, well, we should really have our own conversation group, and we did that in the conference room. And as we did, people would walk in and say, well, I don't know any Chinese at all, but I have family members or coworkers that speak Chinese, and it would be great for me to learn some. So this happened a bunch of times, and then finally figured out that there is, in fact, a community of people on the island who have family, coworkers, students who are Chinese speakers, and who want to be able to communicate with their kids and grandkids and coworkers and students. So we now have a weekly Chinese group that meets. Well, we just finished it a few minutes ago. That's sort of turning into an intermediate Chinese group. I need to talk to you about that, Reed. I think this is a community that I never really would have known about had I not been active at the center. It's not that the people weren't there. It's just the way. It's just that I would have had no way of meeting them. So this has been a great kind of eye-opening experience for me, helping me realize, this sort of aspect of multiculturalism on Bainbridge, and the bigger picture of how, how many American and Chinese families there are, because we're working here, we're working there, they're working here, and love conquers all. And also, I really appreciate the center just as a focus of Winslow, knowing that it's there. I've always done Tai Chi and yoga at the center. It's something that, as I occasionally look at houses in other places and try to envision living in other places, it's one of the things that makes it hard to envision living anyplace else except here.
And Barbara or Selden, any thinking about the greater value of the center to the community, just like Ken was talking about?
Every week I call up about 40 members of the senior center, aged from 50 up to close to 90. And we've come up, a lot of them I've never met, and I call them up every week. And we have a great time chatting about stuff. And the longer we're separated, the more they want to talk. So I'm enjoying their time and they're enjoying my time, and we're having a great time, and hopefully I'll meet these people someday.
Yes, I look forward to when we get together. Yes,
And
Barbara.
they all want to come back to the senior center soon.
Yeah.
Listening to Ken and Selden talk about their experiences at the center reminds me of one of the things I value most about the center, the storytelling. And the storytelling and how you find out so much about a community through the people who live here and the people who are willing to talk about their experiences, all the way from the people who have been here for a long time and the newcomers. There's always a story. And that's what got me interested in the senior center to begin with. And that's what keeps me interested in the senior center, the stories that can be told there. I met a friend, Margaret Cole, who is an advocate for the center, and we did a program together that was several Mondays. This was pre-pandemic times, and it was called Race, the Power of Illusion. And lots of people came, and we had great discussions, and it was all the people who said, I never knew this. And that's when I started to realize again that the center is a great place for learning. You have all these people who want to learn, and you have many, many teachers. And we're all experts on our own lives. So listening to stories is a great way of learning about the community and learning about the person.
Yes, and we all trade places. Sometimes we can be sharing information that others want to learn, and sometimes we're in a position to learn from others. And I certainly have learned a lot from you in this brief period of time. Thank you for sharing it with us. And thank you for being willing to talk a little bit about the center in support of us during this fun and fundraiser week.